This is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
Well, there is a problem in Houston. More people are dying as a result of homicides, and law enforcement agencies are coming together to try to do something to slow the pace. Houston Police Chief Acevedo is here this morning to talk about the challenges and what kinds of solutions are being talked about that will make some sort of difference. Good morning to you, Chief. Good to see you as always.
Good morning, Kimber. Good to be with you. Thanks for all you do to inform our community on the events of the day.
Yeah, we're trying to do what we can, Chief. And you talked about the fact that we had this homicide rate is up about 44% from last year. That's tough to swallow. What's being done, and what much more is still to be done?
Well, I mean, we're very fortunate that Mayor Turner has actually directed about $4 million to combat violent crime. And what we're seeing is we're starting to see that we're trending in terms of overall violent crime. We're starting to trend downward, which is a good thing. We have a mayor that understands that these are real lives of people that are being lost out there, and future stolen. And so, with that overtime funding, we've been able to surge our investigative capacity. We've been able to surge our patrol assets, our street crime units, and as a result, I think we're seeing some positive signs. Having said that, it's been a very strange year, not just here in Houston, but across the entire country, in Harris County and everywhere else. COVID has really had a very troubling impact on the American psyche, and we have seen more gun violence across the country. We've seen a record number of gun sales across the country, and I think that consequently what we've seen is a lot more shootings. And the question will be, is this going to be an aberration that will start trending downward and continue to trend downward after COVID-19, hopefully sometime this spring? Or is this the beginning of a pattern where we're headed in the wrong direction as a city, a county, a state, and a nation?
Right. You've been talking about that. I know the road rage problem has gotten your attention recently. We've seen an increase of those throughout the year, resulting in an increase in shootings and deaths. What kind of things are you and the Sheriff's Office and the DA doing now to try to make a difference in those numbers? I know you recently had a news conference to talk about some of the solutions.
Yeah, we came together as a region with Sheriff Gonzalez, DA Ogg, Deputy Director of DPS, James Taylor, and what we're doing is putting together a task force for freeways to combat road rage, combat aggressive driving, because what's happening with proliferation of firearms, the psyche of our fellow Texans and our fellow Americans not in a best of place with the economic downturn, people losing their jobs, people stuck at home. People are just raging, quite frankly. And even our murders, some of our murders are just spur of the moment, emotional reaction to a disagreement, and people are getting hurt. And so what we're doing is we're all coming together to target the aggressive driving. When you think about the fact that the rush hour is not much of a rush hour right now because a lot of people are working from home and a lot of people have been laid off and businesses closed. People are driving at a much greater rate of speed. They're driving much more aggressively, and it's leading to these incidents. And so we're going to have unmarked units, aircraft, and marked units out enforcing it. And I'm very proud of the fact that DA Ogg has made a commitment for her and her team to throw the book at people when they're caught engaging in this kind of conduct. And people are going to go into jail and potentially even forfeiting their vehicles through forfeiture laws that we have at our disposal as a criminal justice community.
What role does manpower play in all of this? I've heard you say in the past you've got a 2020 police force that's smaller in manpower than in the past, and we've got in a community that has been growing so much. So how do you balance the challenge of your manpower with the needs of what you need to do to enforce the challenge of in the community?
Well, thank God, again, that while some other cities are defunding, our mayor, our council understand that our community doesn't want less policing. They want better policing. Our communities that are impacted the most by violent crime are communities of color, and they want to live in peace and security and safety like everyone else. And so thank God that we were able to restore the 5 academy classes for this budget year that we would have lost, but for the commitment of the mayor and his council colleagues to restore those classes. But the truth of the matter is, because of the financial crisis that has built in for this city, that has impacted us because of the revenue cap that the rest of Texas is about to learn about, because they've never had a revenue cap like we have here. We really have had the same number of officers for the past 20 years, the same number of officers we had 20 years ago, but the city has grown by 500,000 folks. And our support staff has been cut by 53% because of the budgetary constraints of our city. Those are the realities, which means we really have to continue to work the partnership with the community so they can be our eyes and ears, so they can let us know what they're seeing, provide us real-time intelligence on what's going on in their neighborhoods, so we can move our limited resources around to try to hit our hot spots like we're doing now. In the 6 hot spots, thanks again to the $4 million+ the mayor has provided. And between the cooperation of the community, the intelligence from the community, and the additional resources, about 120 additional officers a day through those hot spots, we're starting to see good results. But we need to sustain it. And at the end of the day, we're going to need everyone on every part of the criminal justice system to be working on all 8 cylinders to make sure we can have a great impact on the violence in this community and across the nation.
You talked upon this just a second ago. Some progressives around the country was talking about defund the police, and many of them say, you know, look, that's the wrong choice of words. The word is better to reform the way policing is done. You've been outspoken about the idea of defunding any of your efforts. And in fact, what you described to me just now sounds to me like that is part of reforming the way policing is done to go forward.
Yeah, you look, when you have President Barack Obama talking about defunding the police is just not the way to go. It's really not helpful. What we want to do is make investments in good policing, investments in the best training, the best equipment, the best technology, so we can make sure that we are doing our very best, make investments in great accountability systems of accountability, so we can support the good cops by holding those that fall short accountable. That's something that I think our mayor and our council understand here, and our community understands. Proof and evidence of that is the way that in a summer where George Floyd's death took Americans to the streets, and for the first time in my career, I saw a lot of faces on there that we historically wouldn't have seen. You know, people from middle class and upper class America, white America, joining in condemning bad policing and the death of a man in George Floyd that should never happen. It gives me hope. But we have to be smart. One of the things that we have here in this city is we have our co-response model to crisis intervention in terms of mental health, where we have a police officer and practitioner. The challenge has been that we have 50,000 plus calls a year with people in crisis, and we just don't have enough teams to be out 24/7, 365 days a year. And what we're hoping to do, and I think the mayor's working really hard on this, along with our public health partners, is trying to figure out how we can expand the number of those teams so we can have a co-response model that's truly a national model every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, and 365 days a year. And I think when we do those kind of investments, we end up with better results.